To everyone to our webinar. We are excited to be able to bring this informative and engaging discussion today. We know your time is valuable, so we want to make the most of it. Thanks for sharing out time from your busy schedules and be the part of this webinar. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. So it's been a moment. I think everyone has joined. So shall we begin? Correct. So agenda of today's webinar is to streamline all your account payable operations through our platform. So please, before starting this, please feel free to post your queries and concerns in the chat box. We will definitely address them during question and answer session. So it gives me immense pleasure to get an opportunity to introduce speakers of the day. Mr. Amit Patil, Director of Tantra Minds. He is a passionate IT professional with over 18 years of experience. He is currently leading a team of experts to build innovative products which are designed to help customers leverage their existing IT landscape. We are pleased to have you here, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Chandra.
Our other speaker is Mr. Nitin Deshmukh. He is leading product development team of Tantra Minds. He is the key person in terms of development, execution, and solution architecture. Thank you so much, Nitin, for joining us. So firstly, I would like to request Amit sir to give our audience insight of Tantra Minds, because you know who is the better person than you. So please, sir.
Thank you. Right. Well, first of all, thank you everyone for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. As Priyanka has provided us a quick overview of today's session, we will quickly introduce ourselves, who we are, what do we do, and then just give you a bit of an overview about our other products. Excuse me. And then I will briefly, swiftly hand over to Nitin, who will jump into details of today's topic, invoice management, accounts payable, and we'll get into the nitty-gritties of our product, how our product supports invoice management and accounts payable processes. So over to next slide, please. Right. So who we are? We are a global entity. We are based in our headquarters is in UK. I'm based in UK, and our team is spread across the globe. So we have operations in UK, US, and India. Our core COE is in India. Our customers are spread across Europe, America, South America, and Asian continent. We basically we're part of a bigger group called Amden. We are into, as a group, we are into technology consulting. We are into SAP consulting. We are into other small ERP consultings. We also provide products and services, which is a part of our Tantra Mind group. So Tantra Mind is focused on products, whereas our wider group is more into service provision. So under Tantra Mind, we have introduced a suite of products, which includes invoice management, which we are going to dwell into more details today. However, alongside with invoice management, we have vendor portal, customer portal. These are the application which allows us to extend to our supply chain and our customers. So basically, your core business processes can be on the supply chain side, can be extended to your vendors for collaboration of complete P2P process. And on the other side, from customer side, a collaboration with customers, B2B customers for complete OTC cycle collaboration. Then for small and medium sector, we have our own ERP application, which is cloud-based, completely on a cutting-edge technology platform. We provide it as a subscription or on-prem deployment. Then we do have a very focused product for procurement. So a complete procurement suite, which includes strategic and operational procurement functions excuse me, That includes strategic sourcing, so which kind of comprises of RFP, RFQ, auction, vendor and onboarding, vendor performance management, contract management. These are the core features of, sorry, on the previous slide, please. Yeah, these are core features of our procurement module. And operational procurement, it supports complete end-to-end P2P process with cataloging, workflows, requisitioning, and purchase order processing until the good receipts as well. And we do have a very strong suite of analytics suite, basically, which includes the CXO dashboards, which is based on technology agnostic platforms like Power BI, SSE. We kind of bring to the table pre-built dashboards and help our customers to sort of get running from the word go. However, today's focus is on invoice management. Invoice management is an application which is focused towards accounts payable. It is again comes with the cloud and on-prem deployment. It's a very secure application. We are a 27001 certified company. Our processes are internal processes are very secured, and our product that reflects into our product security. So security concerns are the paramount for us, and we have ensured that our product reflects that. Nitin will obviously tell you a bit more about that, but that's essentially about TantraMinds and quick overview about our product catalog. I think I'll quickly move over to the next slide and hand it over to Nitin as well, so that we can dive deeper into today's agenda. I think we just to kind of complete our introduction, we as a company, we have two delivery centers. One is in UK and in another one in India. As I mentioned, we are a global company with presence in 6 other countries. And we, as a group, we have done more than 50 plus implementation across the globe. We got 15,000 plus end users whom we are supporting as a support projects across the globe. And we got more than 17 years of experience in this field, been serving hundreds of customers across the globe since last 17 years. I will probably jump into the subject matter today, but today's agenda is to sort of introduce yourselves with our product, how it helps in account payable processes. What I would like to underline is today is just more of an introduction to the product, but if you are further interested, we would love to kind of explore, extend you one-on-one our capabilities as a TantraMinds, and we would definitely love to show a one-on-one demo of our product, one of the product or the current today's product that we are focusing on, and take it from there. So without further ado, I will hand over to Nitin, and Nitin, if you could take over and let's dwell into little details of the invoice management, please. One last thing I would say, if you have any questions during what Nitin is presenting, please feel free to type in your question into chat box. We have 10 to 15 minutes left at the allocated for question answer session towards the end. We will love to take your questions and answer as much as possible. Thank you so much. Over to you, Nitin.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Thank you, Amit. I appreciate the introduction. So I would like to welcome all attendees, and it's great to be speaking with all of you today. So I will be the host for the webinar of invoice automations by the TantraMinds. So first of all, I would like to introduce myself. So my name is Nitin Deshmukh. I am a product manager as well as a solution architecture. I have a 7 years of experience or more than that in a customizations and automations of industrial business processes. So on agenda, we are going to talking about the challenges first of account payable team. Then we will see the traditional account payable process. After that, we will talk about some solution over that. And then we will go through the quick demo of our product. And at the end, we have a question answer session. So first, before going straight into the account payable process, let us look at what happened upfront when user decided to buy something on behalf of the company. So there are many ways companies spend their money to buy the goods and services. But at the end, company has to decide either it is pre-approved spend or not. So pre-approved means usually implies that you have a purchase requisitions and approval workflow before you eventually send the purchase order to the supplier. But as I mentioned earlier, there is also user-driven process as well, where your employees might make a decision to request the goods or services directly from the supplier without any prior approval. So in next slide, we will see how this process can be painful. So in this slide, we can see there is an interesting survey from the financial consulting firm. They have taken review from the 2000 plus users from a different company. This is showing that even company that have a defined policy with the defined pre-approval process, but still 30% of user not following the procurement policy, they will continue to purchase online, contact supplier directly without raising the purchase order. So during the survey, some of the reasons given by the users, they were saying that it was the fastest or convenient way, or had a more choice, or they got the less price as compared to the current supplier. So these are the interesting findings during the survey, but it creates two different consequences on your company. So first one is that the financial control. I see for you, you have no clues about the invoices that is not pre-approved. You only discover it when your account payable team enter those invoices into the ERP system. And second one is actually this will impact the way you deal with the invoices. So obviously the invoices that are not related to the purchase order, meaning that they are not been pre-approved, then we will go in an approval workflow. So as you know, this can be a long cycle to approve this, and this is necessary. User has to validate the invoices and that goods and services that has been delivered by the your supplier. So actually, we have been introducing our invoice management product in front of many companies through the demos, through the website, and through the marketing flyers. So during this, we receiving some interesting feedback that I wanted to highlight it here about their feedback related to the traditional account payable process. So in this slide, showing that the typical manual process, this might be close to your actual process, but that can giving a bit of understanding how painful it can be. So when supplier, here you can see when supplier delivers the goods or services, obviously there would be an invoice sent because suppliers want to be paid. So as per my knowledge, there will be a lots of paper coming, and most of the invoices you might receive by the post, and hopefully coming into the centralized account payable department. So after receiving, they open the envelope and file those tax invoices on the desk and go for the further process. So some of the supplier have gone already step further on here you can see they eliminate this paper, but as you have a manual process, so because of that you have to print those invoices which is sent by your supplier over an email, because here you are following the manual process, and at this stage account payable work will start. So here you can see the account payable clerk and the invoices which is receiving from the supplier from the two mediums, either a supplier send the invoices through the post box or over email. But here you are following the traditional process, then you have to take the printout of that invoices and file that invoices on the desk. So in account payable clerk, the verification process will start. So in this account payable clerk check, does it match with the PO, which we call two-way matching. Then it will then account payable clerk will check, does it match with the PO and GR to confirm the deliveries, which we call three-way matching. If there is an exception in a two-way and three-way match, then it will have go through an exception handling workflow. So here you can see the account payable clerk, if there is an exception if approval is needed for the particular invoices, then that invoices will again send to the employee or a approver. And if invoices is not related to the purchase order, then this will have go to an approval workflow. As I seen in many companies, if the approver is sitting in a different business unit, so there they put the invoices again in an envelope and send it to the approver by the internal courier system, or the account payable clerk or someone from the account teams walk down to find the approver and requested them for the further approval. So during this process, supplier start the inquiry about the invoices. Here you can see the supplier calling to the account payable team, and he asking about have you received my invoices, when I'm going to be paid. So like that, inquiries we received from the supplier. So as you can see, the bottom of the slide, there is one timeline in which we can see the time we require to post the invoices in a ERP from the day of receiving of those invoices. Here we can see, by following the traditional account payable process, the invoices is being booked after the due date, and this due, the company has to pay the due amount, and in some cases we miss some discount. So we will see in the next slide how TantraMind's invoice management application overcome this painful process with the simple solution. So before that, we will look into the challenges in traditional account payable process. So here we need a manual data entry. Then the exception handling, it is very difficult to handle the exception in a traditional process, or there may be a chance of the duplicate invoices. So obviously we are handling the hard copies, so there might be a chance to loss of the invoices. And important is the insufficient control and lack of visibility. Also here the supplier inquiry also increase because their invoices is following the process. That process might take much more time, and too much paperwork is there. Actually we are receiving the hard copies, that's why we have to do the bookkeeping for that. It will take a long cycle to pay the invoices, and due to the long cycle, the late payment fee occurred here, and also we miss the discount. So these are the important challenges if we are following the traditional account payable process. So first, I give the short introduction about Tantra Invoice Management application. Then we will see the process in a detail, how it will work. So invoice management by TantraMinds is a reliable and smart platform to streamline your account payable process and operations. So in which when invoices arrive, gets scanned and fed it to the digital accounting system. So this form of data capture and cuts the hours of manual data entry work. And the invoice automation application will then convert the data into the text searchable document. So the invoices data is being extracted and mapped into the automated management system. So it remembers which field to capture and registered into the ERP system. So this include the data like supplier name, purchase amount, quantity, and so forth. So invoices are then routed to the appropriate parties for the reviews and the approval. So after the approval, it will automatically get posted into the ERP system and pay it to the vendor. So now coming to the next slide. So in this slide, you can see the process will start with the supplier. Here supplier send their invoices copy over an email. So after that, the invoices get scanned. Here you can see the invoices get scanned through the OCR. So basically OCR actually read the invoices and extract the text out of the invoices. So here account payable team has a visibility through the invoice management application. They can view the invoices. They have a visibility over the text that has been extracted. Or during this process, the business rule validations will run into the background. If everything is good, it matches with the PO, it matches with the good receipt, then it will be posted directly into the ERP system. So, or it might be go through an exception handling workflow, and at the end, at that point, that might go into the workflow for the approval. So this is a short introduction of our product. Now coming to the next slide. So in this slide, we have seen the high level of flow of our invoice management application. So in this slide, we will see the detailed process as well. So before start talking about the process flow, I would like to tell you about that you can, there is two types of icon there. One is a user icon, here you can see, and one is a robot icon. So user icon means that activity is a manual activity, and robot means robotic icon means it is a automated activity. So here also you can see the process diagram is divided into the three parts. First part is a supplier, in which the supplier action is being captured, and second part is belongs to the invoice automation. This part also divided into the three subsections. In first section, the information extraction will be there. In second section, the PO related validations are there. In third section, non-PO related validations will be happening there. And the last section is belong to the ERP. I start from the first section. As you can see here, the supplier is sending the invoices over an email. That email ID dedicated for our invoice management application. Then our RPA scan those email IDs one by one, those email. And for the email for the attachment, if supplier forget to add the attachment, then it will trigger the email to the supplier for the missing of attachment. Here you can see. And after that, if the attachment found, then it will go for the next step. So here our OCR comes under the focus. Our OCR extract the data from the attachment and store it into the structure format or text searchable format. Then it will check the extracted information belongs to the invoices or not. If it is, if vendor send the wrong attachment, then again it will trigger the email to the vendor about the wrong attachment. If the extracted data belongs to the invoices, then it will go for the further validation. So here you can see, here we are validating the invoices related to the purchase order and non-purchase order. So here our application check the PO reference on the invoices. If PO reference found on the invoices, then it will trigger the validation related to the PO and GR, which we call three-way matching. And if there is an exception found in a particular invoices, means I give one bit of example. If PO rate is not matching with the invoices, then it will trigger the exception handling workflow. Here you can see the workflow. In that, our application trigger the workflow and assign the task to the particular buyer to review the invoices. At the time of the assignment, it trigger the email as well to the particular buyer to review the invoices. So as I told earlier, our application is a mobile supportable as well. So here the buyer can open the email on his mobile and approve or reject that particular task. Once all validation gets success, then those validated data automatically sent to the ERP. So this is the short process description of our invoice management application. And here also you can see if the PO is not exist on that particular invoice, then it will trigger the workflow related to the GL coding. Here account payable clerk will check the particular GL related to that invoices. And of course, here the PO is not available, then we will have to approve that particular invoice through the approval workflow. Then our application also trigger the workflow to approve the particular application. So after all data gets successfully validated, then it will automatically post it to the ERP. So if you are familiar with the SAP, then our application called the micro transactions, and with respect to the GL coding, it called the FB60 transaction. So this is a short introduction of our product. Now we will jump to the demo directly. So just a minute.
While while we are waiting for Nitin to switch over to demo, just to highlight few points. This application that we are speaking about is a cloud SaaS application, or could also be on-premise application, up to your choice. This application needs suppliers to send invoices through electronically through PDF or JPG, TIFF formats to your accounts payable email address. We can integrate with accounts payable email address and pick the invoices from there. If the suppliers are sending any other formats, that we can also support, but that needs further discussion, obviously. But yeah, once the invoice is sent by supplier, it will be then a completely automated process. In a happy path scenario, the invoice submitted by supplier goes through multiple checks and validations, as Nitin was suggesting, purchase order price validation, good receipt validation, GSTN number validation. We got 24 such validations pre-built in the system. Some of them are can be configured as per your requirement. But system checks all those validations, compare the invoice with the purchase order data in your ERP. Since it's integrated with ERP on the other side, it has information about the purchase order information, good receipt information, and then it carries out all the validations, vendor master information. It carries out all the validation, and everything, all the validations are passed. We call it as a happy path scenario. Then it essentially posts the invoice into ERP application, which essentially means there is no human touch required. It goes through all the validations, all the rigors, and then get posted in ERP. And that's the beauty of it. More we increase the automation, no touch kind of a arrangement, the less burden on the accounts payable team it would be. We will have some numbers for you at the end. We could achieve more than 50% effort reduction and therefore cost reduction in this area with our product. But we will talk about the benefits once we go through the product demo in shortly. Or do you, Nitin? Sorry.
Thank you, Amit. So, as I told earlier, first we will have to send the invoice over an particular email, which is dedicated for an invoice management application. So now, as a vendor, as a supplier, I'm sending one invoice to our invoice management application. For that, I'm going to open my email ID. So here, email ID, I'm entering the dedicated email ID for our invoice management application. Okay. So after that, I'm adding the attachment there. So this is my invoice. I'm sending that invoice to that dedicated email ID.
In real life, this could be supplier's ERP system triggering a PDF invoice to your accounts payable email address, which generally stored on a customer master on the supplier side. So this is just for demo. We are showing that the invoice is sent manually by the supplier. That's just to sort of bring it to life a bit.
Yes. So just I have sent one invoices. Now I'm a login in our application as an account payable clerk to see the invoices which is extracted or not, and which is validated or not. So now I'm a login as an account payable clerk or account payable administrator. So after login, here we can see the captured invoices button. After click on that, we will see the 4 tiles, which is failed to capture, failed business rules, all invoices, and posted invoices. So I will explain one by one. Failed to capture means if our RP application failed to read the data on particular invoice, the copy of that invoice which is not good, that's why that invoices will automatically flow into the failed to capture part. After that, we have a business rule validation. So as Amit told earlier, we have developed some sort of business rule validations in which we are validating the price, we are validating the good receipt quantity, we are validating the material which is sent by your supplier. Also, we are validating some small amount of data which is available in a header, in which we are validating the GST numbers, then payment terms and all other parts. And some of the validations we applied in a line item as well, in which we are validating the quantities, unit of measures, the price unit, the price. So all these things we are validating here. And if our invoice management application is failed to validate that business rules, then our application will automatically trigger the workflow and assign that validation workflow related task item to that particular approver. Let's say, for example, I receive one invoice from a particular vendor, and in that invoice, we receive the rate of that particular material, which is wrong. And then our invoice management trigger one workflow in that our invoice management assign one task to the buyer to see the price of that invoice related to the purchase order. Then buyer will get one notification on their email address on the inbox, and then that buyer review the invoice. He check whether the price which is entered by the vendor which is wrong, or we entered the price in our purchase order that is wrong. So then buyer will take the decision. If the PO price is wrong, then buyer log into the SAP system and correct the price of that particular purchase order. Or if vendor entered the wrong price on invoice, then it will just simply reject the invoices. So again, after rejection, or invoice management will trigger the workflow, means email notification, and send it to that particular supplier. And in that one rejection note also there about the rejection points. So as I click on the failed business rule validations, here you can see the invoice get failed, which is by the business rule validation. So after click on the more detail buttons, so as an account payable clerk, I have to see which of those field get failed by our application. So here we have the validations, view validations button. After click on that, I can see the GR quantity is not matching with the that particular invoices. Means we received the invoice, but we did not receive the goods related to that invoice. That's why it's showing the error, GR matching error. So again, now the GR matching error is happening. So here our invoice management application trigger the workflow. So GR related activity related to the store manager, it trigger a mail to the store manager and ask about the GR. So then store manager will check the material and post the GR in a ERP system. And then again, our invoice management application fetch the GR quantity from the related integrated ERP system and rerun the validations. So after rerun the validations, automatically that invoice get validated and successfully posted into the ERP system. So as you've seen in the screen, the invoice is split into the two parts. In the right hand side, you can see the PDF copy of that invoice, and in the left hand side, you can see the extracted data from that invoice. So this part is belongs to the header part, in which we are capturing the vendor recipient, means vendor name, vendor address, reference of that invoice, customer name, customer address, and the shipping recipient. So all the header address we are capturing here. Then we capture the line item information as well. So in line item information, we are capturing the stock, means the code of that material, then description of that material, unit of measure, price unit, and amount. And at the bottom of the page, we capture the total goods value, tax related information, and the total invoice value. So here you can see some rate fields, means it is failed to capture, or missing that freight charges is missing in the invoices. So that part is showing red. But here most important concern is the GR is not happened there. So we just have to wait for the GR. So after the GR completion, it will automatically validate the data and validate the invoice and post that invoice to the ERP system. So just a minute. Also, we have given functions as well with related to the PDF. Yeah, here you can see the zoom button. After click on that, that PDF part will zoom. After click on the zoom out button, it will zoom out the PDF and the original size button. So it will comes the invoice in a original format. So we are just waiting for the validations to be done. So like that, now this invoice is failed, but just before I sent one invoice, which is success, that we can see here. So for that, we have given the validations button here. After click on that validation button, the account payable clerk can see the list of validation, which is success. So this is the success validation. This validation has been completed successfully.
While while waiting for the validation to get updated, I think the key part here is this application is continuously listening to the transaction happening on SAP side as well. So, for example, the previous invoice, which was failed for good receipt being missing in the ERP system. If your ERP system is SAP, for example, this application hooks on to the events in ERP system. For example, if the good receipt is being posted or purchase order being changed, and as soon as the good receipt is posted, it picks up that good receipt and reruns the validations periodically. So after a period, the good receipt, if it is posted in ERP, it will read that and it will pass that validation and it will move on to the next validation. So that's essentially the concept this product follows.
So just we can see this invoice is successfully posted in SAP. So just we will see the PO history of that particular invoice. So I'm just opening the S4 system here to check whether the invoice get posted or not. Yes.
Within your SAP system is not being displayed if you're trying to display it.
Okay. Okay. Just a minute. I'm getting some issues.
While we are waiting for SAP to come up, I think I probably can pick up a couple of questions that have been posted on the chat. The question is, what about data security? I think data security, we have end-to-end encryption of data. The data is stored securely within the application. We can provide a private cloud subscription if it's going for SaaS, or if it is on-prem, obviously it will be in your secure data center. data is stored within database securely. All the communication across to users are also secure. So, so basically, we take security very seriously. And the next question I think is, where will we store the invoices? So storing the invoices is locally in our local database. We could potentially store but we have provided multiple integrations. So if you expect the PDF invoices to be stored back into SAP system linked to the invoice transaction in SAP, we could do that. There is a standard integration available. Or you choose to store in your DMS, whether it's DMS is SharePoint, or alternatively, if you want us to store your invoices into Microsoft Block Storage, we could do that. So there are multiple options based on your preferences to answer your question. The simplest is the application can store the invoices locally, provide the link back to SAP. So any SAP user wants to access to invoice document can refer it. Sorry, Nitin.
Yes. So just I have seen the invoice get posted in SAP. I'm sharing the SAP screen as well. So this is the PO number which we have sent, which is available on our invoice system, the invoice which is sent by the vendors, and the good receipt with related to that invoice is already happened. After that, our invoice validations validate that particular invoice against the business rule, and it will get automatically posted in a SAP system. We can see the invoice as well. So after click on that, sorry. So this is the invoice which posted by our invoice management application, which is a direct integration between SAP and our application. So this is the invoice, and same invoice we can see in our invoice management application as well. So just a minute, I'm sharing the invoice management application screen. So yes, I hope the invoice management application screen is visible for all of you. So this invoice just I have sent over an email. So our invoice management application extract the data from the PDF and validate that data. So first, the good receipt quantity did not validated by our invoice management application. After that, we post the good receipt, means our store manager posts the good receipt in application. After that, our invoice management application rerun the validations. So after validations, it will successfully post that invoice in a SAP system. So here you can see the list of validations. So here you can see the PO price is matched, description is matched, vendor name is matched, good receipt is matched. So this is the short demo of our application. So I will hand over the next agenda of our next step to the Priyanka.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Nitin, to demonstrate our product and enlighten us about its benefits and how it would be a great suit to the account payable issue. So I think it's the time for the question and answer. Amit sir has already addressed some. We have more questions here. So I request Amit sir or Nitin to address them as well.
Sure. I think just to recap, I've kind of answered where the invoices will be stored. The next one is, will this system support PDF formats only, or it can support other formats? Yes, the quick answer is yes, it does support more than PDF. If the supplier are sending emails, the invoice files in JPEG format, it is supported. TIFF formats are supported, TIFF. But those are the main leading formats across the industry that are used for invoices. If there are any other further format you expect to be supported, then we can definitely discuss, and the solution is very flexible to accommodate that as well. That's something we need to discuss further. I think that's essentially all the questions I'm having here on the list. Do we have any further questions from the team? I mean, maybe we can unmute the panelist, and maybe we can allow the questions to be raised directly.
There is one question in question and answer by Mr. Pawan.
Sure. So can you read for me, please?
Question is, what about the data security?
Yes. So the data security, as I kind of earlier touched upon, the application comes with two different deployment approach. One is it can be deployed as a cloud application, and you can take as a subscription from us as a software as a service, and that deployment comes securely on one of the hyperscaler cloud. Your users would be getting a dual factor authentication. Their data would be completely end-to-end encrypted from both the sides, from user to the product, the server, and from server to SAP applications as well, or your own ERP. So all connectivities are secure and encrypted. In terms of the PDFs and invoices or the POs, etc., that we are going to extract from your ERP system, that will be stored in a realm allocated to your company, securely and stored and encrypted into database as well, and you will have full access to it with the backup. In terms of the on-prem deployment, the on-prem deployment would be based on your preferred data center or the hyperscaler. The same sort of encryption, end-to-end encryption is part of it. Our application comes with the complete penetration testing certified. So before deployment, we carry out pen testing for the application and give you the complete results of the outcome of that testing. But yeah, it's an industry standard secure application. There are a lot of internal and regulatory rules as well, depending on which country you are in. If, for example, in UK, we have to store the financial invoices for 7 years. So we have the storage policy applied for that. The storage is secure. And then we support all integration types, whether it's web services based or FTP based, depending on your license situation with SAP. In terms of indirect licenses, we do support all of those sort of integration types as well. I hope that answers the question. If there are any further questions, please feel free to get in touch, and we will definitely answer all the open questions.
Hello, thank you so much, sir. We have another question, if you can help us out with that. Many audit agencies ask for physical paper as evidence. While this is paperless office initiatives, what is your views on this?
They do. I think there's lots of governments and regulatory bodies who are moving towards electronic invoices. I think if we are moving away from paper to electronic invoices, I think there are a lot of regulation against mutability of the invoices. For example, we need to prove to the auditors and regulators that the invoice which is received from a supplier is non-mutable, i.e. it is received and kept in the format, not changed, and then we have to prove that how we ensure that happens. So of course the paper invoices processes are being kind of replaced, but then that means if we are moving into electronic world, there are some mandate that regulatory bodies have provided us to make sure that if the file is being replaced fraudulently, that there is a logging mechanism for that. We need to ensure that the content of the file is stored such a way that nobody can tamper with the content and change the files. So those all those measures are already incorporated in our application. However, if a certain regulator is requesting to have the paper invoices, then that has to be handled as a parallel process and stored separately. But I think more and more people, with especially going through COVID and post-COVID, things are moving from paper to electronic. However, with those regulations that I just talk about. So those are my views.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So I think we have missed one, that hello, what if inbox is flooded with incoming invoices? How will our system handle it?
Yeah, it's a good question. So basically, generally speaking, within all the modern organizations, we see accounts payable email address is a dedicated email address. Generally, that's also printed on bill to part of the purchase orders, where we are instructing suppliers to send their invoices to. So generally, on this email address, we only receive supplier invoices and supplier queries, and then that's where we are picking the invoices from. So we are not necessarily increasing, or this application, this process is not necessarily increasing the volume of the email traffic on accounts payable email address. Having said that, the application is supporting something called as validation workflow engine. Basically, what that means is, if an invoice is not matching with the purchase order in terms of the line item price, the invoice, the application is going to trigger a application workflow to a right person who is mentioned in the purchase order. And such workflows, and if the invoice volumes are high, such workflows will get triggered. If the rate of exceptions is also high, such workflow may trigger multiple email notifications across to the internal business users. However, every business user, when logging to the application, can set their preferences whether to receive such notifications or not. And if I, as a personal user, as a buyer, I choose to not to receive email notification, that can be switched off. However, it can then be replaced with the desktop notification instead of email notification. Or if the buyer doesn't want, or the user doesn't want any notification, there is a dashboard, as Nitin has shown earlier. Every user, when logs in, there is a dashboard. They can see their work items in a nicely shown dashboard, where they can log in and take it from there. So that's basically a way to avoid. So the solution comes very flexible in terms of avoiding any notification traffic, if that answers the question.
Yes, perfectly. Thank you so much for your time. So I think we are about to wind this up, but first of all, I would like to thank the attendees to sticking around. Now I would like to request all to answer the poll questions that will appear on your screens. It would be appreciated. Please, it won't take much of your time. So first poll is, I think it's on your screen. First poll, I'll read it out for you. What are the challenges are you facing in purchase invoicing process? It is a multiple choice question, but you can choose more than one answer here. Difficulty in managing and tracking payments, slow processing, mismatch in invoice and PO details, sending payment before delivery, double payment. Awaiting your reply over this.
It'll be interesting to know.
Yeah, the second one. Yes, please. The second one here is, yeah, right on your screens. What number of invoices does your organization process within 24 hours? Up to 10, 11 to 25, 26 to 50, above 50. Please make your choices. Yeah, thanks for the responses. The last is, are you interested in one-to-one demo of our invoice management solution? The poll is in front of you. Awaiting a positive response here, definitely. Thank you so much for the responses. Deeply appreciated. To wind this up, deep gratitude to the attendees. Thank you so much for joining us for our webinar. We appreciate your participation. Your questions and comments added value to the discussion. Feel free to contact us for any query or inquiry, or to know our other products on the contact details I'm mentioning. Once again, thank you so much for attending this webinar. Please note our contact details so that we can have a better discussion. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all. We appreciate your time. Thank you.